The twice impeached, criminally convicted con man in chief Donald Trump goes on CNBC, says a bunch of whack, crazy, outlandish shit. This was the most racist thing he said, and national media act like, no big deal.
Back to their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, these people, you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it? These are very, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead.
No, okay, so.
I mean, I don't even know where to.
Morgan, he sounded like a plantation owner describing people of African descent who were enslaved.
Yeah, I think it's crazy that interview happened. I mean, let's just take a step back, that the president of the United States is calling in to a morning cable show to give his thoughts and updates on the economy. Like, that alone, when I first saw that they were tweeting out that interview was happening the night before, I thought it was a joke. I thought, someone just created a meme or something. That was real. That's crazy in and of itself. Talking about who might be the next president of the Fed just randomly at 8 a.m. on whatever day of the week that was. But yeah, he has no respect for the humanity. I mean, to think that people are voluntarily wanting to work these jobs is no, these are people that have fled wherever they're from. And we're talking about a lot of the agricultural workers, and this is their only means of supporting themselves and their family. And now the reason that many of them are not working is because they are terrified that this administration is going to capture them and send them to whatever country they decide they want them to go to, regardless of where they may or may not be from, or if they're here legally or not, or if they've committed a crime or not. Crazy. Suggesting that people in the inner city gave it a shot, but it didn't work. We know what that's code for too. So this is, it's so beyond comprehension that this is, again, where we find ourselves as a country dealing with this. But again, the main point is, this guy is not solving problems. He's creating problems, not just for Black people, but for these very farmers that he claims he cares so much about. They are not going to be able to sustain these businesses. Talk about, back to Andrew's question, impacts on all of us. Farmers can't do their job. Food prices go up. It's already happening. People are posting pictures about how much more they're paying from now compared to 2022. It's and then add on to all of that, the federal cuts that are happening, the most vulnerable. This is a ticking time bomb, and it really is just a matter of time before it starts to explode for absolutely everybody.
Tyler, again, mainstream media, no big deal. Okay, whatever. But that was an absolutely racist comment by racist Donald Trump.
Yeah, absolutely, Roland. I think it's no surprise of his comments, and I think he just continues to double down on his rhetoric, and that kind of just speaks to the person that he is and how he thinks about migrant workers, and also how he thinks about Black workers and working in the fields. And I think it's despicable, and we know the occupant we got in office. As you said on your T-shirt. F around and find out.
Andrew. Andrew. I don't know how anybody. Again, for the folk who think we're just joking, hold up. I'm gonna play it again. I want people to actually just listen to the virulent racism in the comment. I mean, They don't injure their backs. Guys, play it again. Play it again.
Back to their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, these people, you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it? These are very, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead.
No, okay. So,
was he suggesting that if they got a bad back, that they would take them out back like a horse and kill them? I mean, that clip, I've heard a lot of clips from Donald Trump, and that clip is the most baffling. And a lot of people are talking about the Epstein files and releasing the Epstein files, but him saying things like this and still being able to remain president is just so beyond comprehension, Roland. I think we're all just at a loss of words on how to describe the hate that he's spewing in his words for certain types of people, not only just migrant workers, but also Black people, referring to the inner cities, right? Because he thinks that all Black people live in the inner cities, and saying that we tried that with them and it just didn't work out. I mean, oh my goodness, that has got to be the top 5 worst clips I've ever heard from our unfortunate president.
It's crazy. And Morgan, the anchors on CNBC. Oh, okay. All right, sure. What's for lunch?
Yeah, the fact that they didn't interrupt him should be some kind of journalistic malpractice. And here's the other main point I would say is, he's like, no one else wants to do these jobs. Why do a lot of farms have to, and by the way, a lot of these aren't like independent family farms. We're talking about big ag. We're talking about a lot of big companies. Why do they have to rely on undocumented workers? Because they don't want to pay people a lot, because they don't want to have to give benefits. And so why do a lot more Americans not work these jobs? Because they're not actually trying to offer good jobs to people, right? And so, he's right about one thing, though. The whole system will crumble without the labor of a lot of immigrants in the agricultural industry. That's about the only thing that he got there. But the rest of it was just wrapped up in racism and a real disregard for the humanity of millions of people in this country.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.